It's March 3rd, 2021. This is this is a real tough one. This really is. All day I've been fielding texts, IMs, um, phone calls. Started off with a fan that I've known for years, Paul Artisan. Uh, Rest in peace, Jim Crockett Jr. Didn't want to believe it. So where did you see it? He said some fan posted it somewhere. I I didn't see it. Later on in the day, a few other places um, said that Jimmy Crockett had died. I didn't see it officially anywhere. I refused to believe it. I called his brother David a few days ago. I had a nice talk with David. David told me that Jimmy was sick, really sick. We didn't go into a lot of details. I asked him when he was going to go see Jimmy. He said soon. I tell him to tell him that Bill Apter loves him. This is a personal story from me because without Jim Crockett Jr., my view of the whole wrestling business and what happened to me in my career path would have been not the same. May never have happened. Let me explain to you. Um, back in the back in the 80s, we always covered the National Wrestling Alliance, and every week I would call all the offices, all the wrestling offices, to find out who to put in the rankings and who's going to what territory and stuff. And every week, one of my favorite calls was calling Jim Crockett Jr. And here's my old NWA contact book, and you can probably see Jim Crockett Promotions here somewhere. Where the heck is it? Right here. Right there. Briarbend Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina. And my calls were sometimes answered by various people in the office there. But anytime they spoke to me, they always said, "Hold on, Jimmy wants to talk to you." And we developed a weekly calling habit. He'd call me just about every Monday. "Hey, Bill Apter, what's the scuttlebutt? What's going on around the world?" And we'd talk about wrestling. We'd talk about his promotion, and Dusty is his booker at that point. And as I mentioned, we always we kept in touch a lot, and we became friends outside of the business as well. He had a really marvelous family, and a lot of you people um, saw his brother David on TV, of course, as a commentator. His brother Jackie is the head cameraman around the ring for all the shows, and he used to elbow all of us photographers, and his sister Frances, and his lovely wife Myra. But I'm getting off topic here. So at one point, and I don't know why or how this happened, when I was working for the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine company, after Ole Anderson had gone out of Georgia, where I was doing Pro Wrestling Illustrated press conferences along with Craig Peters on the Superstation, Jimmy Crockett said to me, "Hey, why don't you, I've got World Championship Wrestling, why don't you come down and do them here?" And he built a whole set and had me come down once or twice a month to do Pro Wrestling Illustrated scouting reports. And he would always pick me up at the airport or send Sandy Scott to get me from the airport. We'd have a brief meeting and tape the TV, and then always go out and chat about the wrestling business afterwards. When Vince McMahon, WWF, was in charge of that Georgia property for a while, and he wanted to get out of it and sell that to Jimmy Crockett. I remember getting probably the first call from Jimmy Crockett at home when I was living on Long Island on an old regular phone, not a cell phone, of course, saying, you know, I just got a call from Vince. He wants to sell me the TBS time. What do you think's going on? And we talked about it, and yeah, there were a lot of inside things he'd call me and talk to me about, and vice versa. And through the years, he kept inviting me to his shows. He kept putting me on his TVs, and fans engaged with me because of what he did in various arenas that they saw me on Jim Crockett Promotions shows. And so I don't know where my career would have taken me in terms of fans knowing about the magazines and me had it not been for him putting us on WTBS. The array of talent that he had back in the day, Magnum TA, the Koloffs, the Road Warriors, Ric Flair, Ronnie Garvin, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, the Horsemen. I mean, could go on and on and on. He was one of the few promoters that was able to keep his business alive when WWF was going into every territory. When he left the wrestling business, he left the wrestling business. He didn't want any part of it anymore. I kept in touch with him periodically. Not as much as I wish I would have. But this is really sad. He was just Jimmy Crockett. It was in my house, because of who he was in my personal life and family. In my house, he was a household name. I mourn his loss terribly. Jimmy Crockett, you meant so much to me. You made the wrestling world so rich in tradition, and I'm going to miss all the great times that I had with you, both personally and professionally. And that's all I got to say. Sad, sad, sad day in the world that Jimmy Crockett has died. If you have memories of Jimmy and you want to leave them here, please do so. Thanks. Much love, everybody.